I never thought I was going to lose this much money. A Trump voter amid tariffs, guys. We're going to go ahead and actually check this out. It's a suggestion via Discord, but we'll punch in whenever there's something to be said, guys. Right? Let's check it out. Let's jump into it.
We want to have as many bees as we can to make honey.
At Secret Garden Bees, a honey farm in Linden, North Carolina, farmer Jim Hartman has one eye on his bees and the other on his bank account.
Ideally, we'll get 100 pounds of honey per hive per year.
How do you feel about paying more for things?
Well, you know, if you find someone who says, I'm happy about paying more for something, you point them out to me. People who already couldn't afford fresh vegetables, who couldn't already afford to put good food on their plate, are the ones that are really going to be hurt.
Absolutely.
Did you ever think when you voted for President Trump that things were going to cost you more and you were going to lose money?
I mean,
I never
everyone.
thought I was going to lose this much money this fast.
All right, guys. So here's the thing. I think everyone, hopefully, if they were like super like intelligent and were voting with, like logic, let's say, and less emotion, they understood. Hopefully, before all this happened, that you were going to lose money. All right, like the only way to fix the United States of America is kind of pull us back from where we are right now. Things are going to have to be more expensive, right? At least until like manufacturers can actually come back to the United States of America and start actually doing things to give people jobs, and people can kind of be, the middle class can basically be rebuilt again. Now, in terms of agriculture, in fact, agriculture is going to be hit probably the most and the fastest, I'd say.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
That's fair.
Among other things, Jim imports packaging supplies for his honey, so he's paying real close attention to the tariffs Trump just put in place.
We just bought our year's supply of bottles from Taiwan and our year's supply of corks from Portugal about 3 weeks ago. So that would have been, another 5,000 or 6,000 out of my pocket.
Which is partly why he's repairing instead of replacing this 40-year-old forklift.
The cost of equipment has just gone through the roof to
It's
buy
crazy.
anything like that because it
It's
just would be
crazy.
cost prohibitive.
Right.
He's also holding off on improvements around the farm.
Well, we're not going to hire any more people, that's for sure.
It's more than just the tariffs.
can.
For the past 2 years, Jim has been selling honey to the federal government, which then provides it to schools and food banks. But after Donald Trump took office, the USDA cut those programs suddenly as part of the federal government's effort to streamline spending.
For a lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
$150,000.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
dude.
roughly 50% of my revenue.
That's a huge hit.
That's a massive hit.
Yeah.
Not far from Jim's farm, we found other Trump supporters who give the president high marks on tariffs.
How do you feel about the tariffs?
Well, I feel like for years we've been getting ripped off, and why not make it fair? 0-0. And I think Trump was upfront about it. He said we're going to hurt some now.
I think some of the countries they're already starting to come around.
They are.
It's going to be good. I really believe that.
You have faith in Trump?
Yes, I do.
I think he's doing the right thing. In order for us to get back where we need to be, he needs to get the money somewhere, and they're charging us. Why not charge them?
And then that's the overall kind of sentiment here, I would say here, guys, right? Like looking at it, it makes all the sense in the world. Why would you tariff us if you do not want us to tariff you, right? But we understand why it's happening. I mean, this is why when people say, there are other countries that are taking advantage of the United States of America, that's the exact reference point. The reference point basically proves that, hey, listen, this country has a 50+% tariff on us, a 10% tariff on us. Why are we not tariffing them? Now, keep this in mind. I'm also kind of in the camp of saying that not all countries need tariffs, guys. The reality of the situation kind of is that, right? Like specifically, if these countries don't have any tariffs on us, why are we doing that to them? It's a little crazy. And most of these smaller countries are going to be the ones who just do not have any tariffs on us. The reality, at least, right? But the person that we're basically following at this bee farm definitely seems to have been kind of an emotional voter. Remember I said earlier, kind of, vote for whoever you want to vote for, right? It doesn't matter, but just make sure that these things make sense to you logically. Like there are a lot of people who voted for Trump specifically who have really had no right voting for Trump. I'm just gonna be honest here. They didn't. They just did it because they were emotionally tied to the man. I'm someone who absolutely strongly detests the ideology that basically gets put out through the Democrat Party. So I probably won't really vote for a Democrat, just based off of the ideology, and also things just don't affect my household that they speak on. Right. Now, if this guy here is making $300,000 in profit, I understand why he did that because he's in the realm of Kamala Harris basically saying, "Hey, we're going to raise your taxes," but you didn't understand that when presidents generally take office, they seem to create a manufactured crisis. Republicans more so than the Democrats in terms of the manufactured crisis is being created, and these things drive down the stock price. You'll always notice that there is like a gigantic amount of like CEOs and like super uber rich people. They start to sell their assets so they can have some liquidity for when the manufactured crisis starts. They can just jump into the stock market, guys, right? They're just trying to get richer. That's it, guys. Every single president delivers some type of manufactured crisis. Sometimes there are more than one, just so we can kind of play in the market a little bit for the super rich people that basically give them money for their campaigns, etc. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, right? But that's basically what this is here. I think he saw that Kamala was going to raise his taxes. Similar to me, I was like, nah, bro, you're not raising my taxes. My taxes are already too high. But he didn't realize the other secondary effects, right? You heard Trump talking about like all of these things that he was looking to do, tariffs. Bro, you knew exactly, hopefully, you were a logical voter, not an emotional voter, right? And you knew exactly what was going to happen to your business. You're in agriculture, right? You most likely live off of like laborers from other places coming in and helping on your farm, right? Like all of the things in your life are rooted in basically, open borders, et cetera, and all these other things, right? But I think you voted emotionally in this context here. But all right.
Back at Jim's farm, though, still plenty of worry. He says raw honey is considered a luxury good, similar to organic vegetables. As prices rise,
I don't
So
know
does
what
that.
that's going to do to consumer spending.
Trump paused the majority of the tariffs for 90 days after we'd left Jim's farm. Jim told us by phone, it's flip-flopped so many times you can't take it to the bank. Who knows what it will be next week? Adding,
Right.
it seems like he's heard the American people. Randy Kay, CNN, Linden, North Carolina.
All of this volatility and uncertainty brought on by the trade war that we were just talking about. You've got you've got China announcing it's raising retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods from 84% to 25%. That coming after President Trump hiked the rate of Chinese goods, the rate on Chinese goods coming into America from 104% now to 145%. All of that, creating so much uncertainty, is having a real and immediate impact on businesses big and small across the country. One small business owner joined us on the show just yesterday describing how the daily chaos and the changes in policy have left her with no good options.
Guys, really quickly, when it comes down to China putting tariffs on us, it doesn't matter. Like, bro, they could put a 30,000% tariff on us, and it still really wouldn't mean as much as they think it means. They have no leg in this, and they have no dog in this fight here, guys. Not really. They don't import much from us. They don't. Basically, their country is set up to funnel 90% of their goods to the United States of America, basically. All right, so they basically only purchase like Hollywood movies and things like that. And bro, they don't use our cars. So like, what exactly do you think you're importing at such a gigantic rate from the United States of America that your tariff is even going to be that meaningful to the entire population of the United States of America? You have no dog in this fight, China. All right, she needs to just basically come to the table with Trump and basically say, hey, listen, bro, we're going to go ahead and do something. We will, I don't know, make it some type of import deal where we're importing something from you guys, maybe, right? And you're going to start selling our goods there. But you know what? Listen, these communist nation they do not care about their citizens at all. They basically said that they have no problem letting them starve during this here, just to prove a point. All right, that's who and what we're looking at right now, guys. That's who we're talking about. But all right.
It's hard to make a decision. You know, we had an idea yesterday after the announcement of, well, maybe we can export to Australia, repackage the products, and then re-import them from there. But because policy changes every 36 hours or so, I don't want to make that decision and make that move only for something else to change in just a couple more days. I'm paralyzed. I can't even make a decision right now.
Paralyzed. Another big area of concern is what this means for American farmers, of course. China is,
Yeah, it's agriculture. It's going to get hit.
the biggest export market for American soybeans. China bought 52% of American soybean exports last year, throwing American soybean farmers, understandably, into a whole new level of uncertainty right now. And joining me right now is Scott Metzger. He's a soybean farmer out of Ohio, also serves on the board of directors for the American Soybean Association. Scott, thank you very much.
Does he own the farm, or does China own the farm? Keep that in mind here, guys. Like, I hear it, but China owns a gigantic amount of these farms, bro. All right, so and they lease them to. But all right.
Taking time to speak with me this morning. This change, I was looking forward to getting your take yesterday afternoon, and now we have this new change overnight coming from China announcing 125% tariff on all U.S. goods coming in. That includes on soybeans. What does this tariff on this new level of tariff on your produce mean for you?
Good morning, Kate. Yeah, it's an alarming concern. You know, with the tighter farm economy that we're in now, the tariffs are just adding issues to problems that we already have. We want to. It's just making it more complex and making it harder to make decisions on what we need to do.
I've heard.
Yeah, so guys, China owns 349,000 acres of agricultural land in the United States of America. But all right.
The word complex from a couple farmers actually as well. It's already a complicated situation, and now it's becoming even more complex. I mean, you're, I believe, a sixth-generation farmer, farming with your brother and cousins. How does this moment feel for you?
Well, you know, we never have, going back to 2018. We really haven't recovered from the tariff trade wars back then.
No, we haven't,
and,
actually.
You know,
at all.
We were probably 40% higher on soybean prices back then, and the farm economy in general was a lot better back then. So you go forward to now with what we are, and you know, a lot tighter farm economy. And complex, and adding these tariffs to it, it makes things really, really difficult. You know, a fear that we have, if this continues into the fall or even into next year, you know, there's a potential that, you know, there'll be some farms go out of business. You know, you could have the next generation not want to come back or not able to come back just because of the economies or the farm situation in general. And adding these tariffs to this, you know, there's just no room for error. But personally, in our operation in the state of Ohio last year, we were in extreme drought, and we roughly had half of a soybean crop and a corn crop last year. So in our area, it's feeling it even a little bit more. You know, having less of a commodity sale and these lower prices, and now we're throwing the tariffs on top of it. It just makes things very difficult.
And at the White House, in his cabinet meeting yesterday, the agriculture secretary spoke up, talking about, you know, if there's one thing, if people know, a group of people who know uncertainty would be farmers and ranchers. And I'm wondering what your ask, your plea, or just your message would be to the president in the midst of this, given your long experience and what you guys are facing.
Yeah, we urge the administration to just to quickly couple the announcement with some negotiations to address the tariff and non-tariff barriers with the U.S. exports. You know, we want to, and we're thankful for the 90-day grace period that we got to help some of the other countries come to the table and negotiate with the president before any more reciprocal tariffs comes on for those other countries. And also with China, let's get to the table and get some things done. Maybe introduce the phase 2 trade deal on this, just so we don't have this prolonged suffering for the U.S. ag economy. And even with that, it even goes to the, it's not only the ag economy, but it's the rural economy as well. For every dollar we spend, it kind of rolls out probably 4, 5, 6 times in our local rural economy. So as a whole, if you don't have a strong farm economy, it usually then goes on down into your rural economy as well.
Yeah, immediately.
The ripple effects. And
Yeah,
as anyone
it's
knows,
immediate.
I grew up in a small town.
And it's interesting that it's definitely very interesting here because the farmers and most of the people that do live in rural areas, ones who live far away from the cities, they generally tend to be like extremely conservative. And so I can imagine that these are the people that are going to be affected pretty much mostly with these tariffs because they make generally less money than the people in the cities and like large suburbs and things like that. Because it's not over, right? It's not going to be over. My wife's from Spain, and she always says to me, anytime she hears like an American complain about something, she's kind of says the same thing. Like, listen, bro, you guys, you've never had any type of, like, you haven't had any struggle, like any serious struggle in a long, long time, and it has made everyone lazy and complacent, right? And that seems to be what kind of honestly the overall sentiment. Like, guys, I live half the year in Spain, right? So the sentiment towards America is kind of that, right? We're spoiled. We are far away from the places that consistently go to war with each other, right? We're far away, so we don't really have any room to be scared over things, guys, right? I've said this even probably about a month ago before all of this stuff started happening. I was like, listen, guys, things are going to get rough. They have to. We have to experience some type of roughness for a little while, bro. We have to. That's like the only thing that's going to make us stronger, like coming out of the end of these things here. But definitely, specifically, like CNN knew what they did here. They specifically targeted the ones who they know absolutely voted for him, right? And they chose the farmers and people in like rural communities, right? They're going to be affected. They just are. They generally make less money than the people in the cities do. Generally, right? They're going to be affected worse than the people in the city. Absolutely. And this is not the best thing in the world. I don't want anyone to really be affected, but we kind of have to, guys. Like, we're going to have to go through this, and we're going to see, hopefully, a shining light at the end of this here. Okay, if we can actually start building more than we import, that would be spectacular. Are things going to be more expensive? Yes, because Americans demand higher wages. Versus China, where the average person is making 2,000 to 1,000 yuan, right? That's it. And that equates to about $140 for every 1,000. All right. So they're making $280 from $140 to $280 a month, guys. And they will build and make a lot of things for that income. Versus the United States of America, where no one will leave their house for that income monthly. Generally. No single adult. This is why you see so many not for sale signs here. Like now hiring signs everywhere you go. I see them everywhere I go. No one wants to work specifically for minimum wage anymore. No one does. So I can only imagine how expensive things are going to get when we start building things here. Because the gigantic corporations are not going to, ever want to go back to, pre-2018 money. No. Right? They don't want to do that. Why would they? They don't want to do that. They've been reporting gains every single year, right? Okay. All right. Well, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.